Welcome. This is Dr. Gary Sultan, Chief of R&D and creator of IOP Technology. This video by myself and Shannon Nelson reports on the research into how information technology leadership fits with other organizational functions. The lens we will use is engineering's classic input process output model, as measured by IOP Technology. The scope, predictive accuracy, and validity of IOP has been extensively documented on our website. You can get a quick overview of the technology by clicking here. A review starts about 2 minutes into the video. This research focuses on senior information technology leadership. This is the level that sets priorities, allocates money, and maintains operating relationships. Our sample consists of 147 senior IT executives working in 58 organizations and domiciled in 8 countries. These were contrasted with executives from other functional areas and with those who occupy positions at different organizational levels. Let's start our investigation by comparing information technology executives with 1,511 non-IT VPs from all areas of the firm. In 3 information processing dimensions, there is absolutely no difference. Information technology executives are about as likely as anyone else to use opportunistic methods. They will apply about the same level of analysis to a decision and will employ standard trusted methods to the same degree as would any other function. However, IT executives are significantly more inclined than their peers to resolve issues using new, novel, and untested options. Charting this difference gives us a little more insight into what's going on. Information technology executives are concentrated at the very high levels of commitment to new and untested methods. Statistical significance tells us that this is structural. It appears to be built into information technology as a function. Now, not every IT executive is going to be a highly creative problem solver, nor should they be. Different IT groups have different primary missions. IT executives who are heading groups with missions that accent safety, security, and dependability have to be more restrained and less adventurous in their approach. On a global basis, IT executives appear to roughly match the executives in other functions, while standing out a bit in the creativity dimension. The degree of difference is probably enough to command a little differential respect, without crossing the boundary into dysfunction. Overall, it's a pretty good fit. However, any average can mask important differences. This table shows that IT executives are likely to have challenges with VPs in 3 of the 6 areas that our sample considered. This is the probability that these differences are not just random variations. Averaging netted out the pluses and minuses, effectively hiding this condition. And the strength of these individual differences is enough to cause occasional organizational grief. This kind of detail is worth knowing about. There is a 99% probability that these differences are structural. They are built into the jobs being done. They are here today, and they will be here tomorrow. And they can be material. Information technology executives exceed VPs from other functions by over 20% in some areas, and by double digits in others. These kind of differences foretell communication and coordination issues. For example, IT is likely to find finance a bit slow in their reaction times and a little resistive to new ideas and options. From their perspective, finance is likely to find IT to be somewhat shallow in fully specifying and justifying their proposals, and a tad sloppy in their execution. The differences aren't fatal, but they are dysfunctional. The same kind of logic can be applied to the differences in the other areas. Predictable issues like this arise because style differences reflect different ways of seeing a situation. For example, a person focusing on long-run horizons can reach an entirely different decision than one focused on the short run. IOP Technology is in the business of identifying these kinds of perspective differences. No right or wrong, just difference. And foreknowledge of these differences has value. If everyone is aware of an exposure, adjustments can be made to make life a little better for all involved. And even if only one party has foreknowledge, much can be done. Proposals can be prepared in a way that recognizes the other party's needs, or initiatives can be framed so that they resonate with the other function. Foreknowledge gives you a lot of options. Things can get more efficient, effective, and comfortable for all involved at a very small cost. To summarize, IT occupies a generally favorable organizational position, but one that has landmines in the form of individual functions. If an IT executive hits one of those landmines in an area that is important to the IT function, the generally favorable picture ain't gonna mean very much. A little organizational sophistication can go a long way toward minimizing this kind of exposure. Reporting relationships are another area of concern. To whom you report can and will influence what you can do, how fast you can do it, and what you have available to do it with. A 2015 study published by Deloitte Consulting surveyed 1,271 CIOs domiciled in 43 countries. It's a good place to start looking at IT reporting relationships. Deloitte found that about 2/3 of the CIOs reported to the Chief Executive Officer, the Chief Financial Officer, or the Chief Operating Officer. Deloitte then asked the CIOs if they were satisfied with their reporting relationship. So, why would the Chief Operating Officer have twice the level of satisfaction as did the Chief Financial Officer, and only 1/3 of that of the CEO? Well, it might be the nature of the job. The CEO has the longest horizon and the most flexibility. The COO has a lot of discretion, but they have to deliver something at a defined point in time. A product, profit, service, something. That constraint reduces their flexibility relative to the CEO. The Chief Financial Officer's job is to keep everyone honest while provisioning them with financial resources. They have to do this within a set of rules governed by accounting principles and audit standards. This is perhaps the least flexible of the roles. It is also the least satisfying relationship for the CIO. We could have chosen other job aspects. For example, the level of precision required. The logic would have been the same. Some ill-defined aspect of the role results in leadership practices that affect CIO satisfaction. However, to move this idea from generalized speculation to an operationally useful fact, we need some kind of measurement. And we have it with IOP technology. Different roles require different information flows, and that is the kind of thing IOP measures. This is a measure of profile alignment. It is the total information processing difference between the various leaders and that of the IT executive. The relation of IOP alignment to satisfaction is obvious. The closer the profiles are to each other, the greater is the IT executive's satisfaction. There is even a rough correspondence in the degree of satisfaction. The IT executive is about 4.5 times more satisfied working for the CEO than the CFO. The IOP profile variation is also about 4.5 times more discrepant with the CFO. The same kind of thing happens with the COO and the business unit managers. Common sense tells us that something is going on that connects information processing profiles with reporting satisfaction. Let's see what else we can tell from these numbers. Now, the natural tendency is to go looking for a single cause driving the relationships that we discovered. So, let's see how that works. This is the single largest IOP style difference between IT executives and the various styles to whom they might report. Let's use some pictures to tell the story of what these numbers mean. These charts compare the IT executive's profile to that of the Chief Executive Officer. There are little bumps and wiggles, but not enough for a statistically significant difference. IT's 7% greater preference for methodical action is due to this small cadre of IT executives, who are being offset by another more widespread group working in the opposite direction. Overall, the IT CEO profiles are well aligned. The Chief Operating Officer profiles are lumpy because there are only 44 COOs in our sample. That's enough for statistics to work, but not enough for a smooth line. And the COO's 12% greater reliance on analysis is caused by a subset of COOs. The difference is local and not enough for statistical significance. Overall, the COO is less well aligned with IT than is the CEO. But nothing signals any fundamental issues between the COO and the IT executive. The business unit manager is in roughly the same position relative to the IT executives as was the COO. But here, the IT executive's lower inclination toward methodical action is statistically significant. The difference with IT is widespread and likely to be encountered by many IT executives working for a business unit manager. Now, this is not terrible. Recognizing the exposure and putting a little extra effort into complete specification and precise execution will mitigate many of the difficulties. The Chief Financial Officer, or CFO, is where the IT executive has the lowest satisfaction level, the highest overall profile variation, and the largest difference in a single IOP style. And that's only part of the story. The differences are in all 4 IOP dimensions. All are statistically significant. Red shows where the IT executives exceed the CFO. Blue is where the CFO is stronger. Look at the color continuity. This kind of thing confirms a structural condition. Any difficulties that arise are not going to go away. Notice the patterns? The CFO uses analysis for validation. IT uses experimentation. The CFO favors trusted methods. IT favors new untested approaches. IT values speed. The CFO values certainty. The list could go on. Is it any wonder that IT satisfaction levels are low? The choice of these different strategies can be traced to role responsibilities. What appears to be happening is that IT and finance see risk differently. The CFO sees risk all over the place. Their hypothetical analyzer, or HA strategy, tries to analyze and offset any and all possible problems. This is a high-cost strategy, but makes sense where the consequences of failure can be catastrophic. The IT executive sees big exposures. However, with the billions of things that could go wrong in electronic systems and networks, it is cheaper to wait for the exposure to become real and then correct it. The same kind of role-related logic plays out in other IOPT areas. For example, the CFO has FASB and GAP standards and rules. The structured styles of LP and HA fit naturally into this kind of well-defined framework. Multiple operating systems being applied to a gazillion applications flowing over multiple channels give the IT executive no such guidance. The structure embedded in systems is pliable and transient. The IT executive has little choice but to elect to use the responsive and creative RS and RI strategies. So, what is a rational strategy for one party can be seen as irresponsible by the other. Misalignments on all 4 basic IOPT information processing styles mean that the CFO and IT executive differences are built in. They are likely to appear on matters involving planning, execution, innovation, expedient action, literally all over the place. Now, satisfaction is not necessarily a decisive factor in setting up reporting relationships. However, all else equal, a leader-follower profile match will yield the highest benefits for all concerned. If it can be done, it should be done. However, the different role responsibilities involved suggest that a perfect profile match is going to be rare. Some level of adjustment by both the leader and the IT executive is probably inevitable. It is to everyone's benefit to address the underlying issues at the onset of a relationship. So let's summarize. The IT executive's overall fit with other functions is about as comfortable as that enjoyed by these other areas. Organizational landmines can lie in particular functions whose role responsibilities diverge from those of IT. A small investment in organizational sensitivity can help build the bridges that limit difficulties and further organizational interests. Matching information processing profiles is the best single solution for optimal hierarchical relationships. Where this is not possible, a consultant familiar with IOP technology can help minimize difficulties inherent in a relationship. It is not a perfect solution, but it will produce positive results. If a professional consultant is not in the cards, a do-it-yourself effort will yield a gain for those involved. We cannot speak for other tools. However, IOP is transparent and its reports are written in spoken English. A very small investment in time and effort is all that is needed. There will be a positive return on investment. Thank you for viewing this video. If you would like to learn more about IOP technology, please visit our websites at iop.com or oeinstitute.org. Both sites have much more information on IOP and the areas where it has or can be applied. Thank you again for your interest in IOP technology.